on.
Yes.
Thank you for
I
tuning
would
in.
like to know. I
Except
heard
we
you
can't
spoke
hear you.
about,
Keep trying.
spoke about that.
Hello?
We're also
World
streaming
Trade
on the net
Center
live,
was
thanks
an
to
inside job.
MNN.org,
Can
and
you
Paula
explain more
Gloria is
about that?
farther down the rabbit hole.
Farther down the rabbit hole. And I'm going to be launching paulagloria.com pretty soon so we can have blogs, for example, to find out why some people are pro-waterboarding some of the 9/11, for waterboarding some of the 9/11 truth movement that's suppressing information so that we can't find out what's going on.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
yes, please speak up. What's happening?
Yes. I heard you speak about. You heard that the World Trade Building was an inside job. Can you speak more on that?
I used to believe it was an inside job. I don't believe that anymore. I believe it's an international drugs and weapons cartel, the people that float around on yachts and make billions of dollars selling these advanced weapons. And by selling these advanced weapons, they make so much money they can buy off media. And a lot of psychological operations going on, as Frank has referred to. You have different levels of information and disinformation.
Right, we're dealing with multi-billionaires that control the press and the media and the governments, and to them we're just pawns, and they're into a global hegemony, and they're using the American army as their own private mafia in Iraq and Afghanistan. Obviously, on 9/11 was, when I say an inside job, meaning the government was aware because the criminal planes went this way, but the air defense went the other way.
But see, I don't believe in planes, so we have a difference of opinion. That's the beauty about public
Well,
access.
excuse me, Paula. There were planes, whether or not they were. There was obviously not the United Airlines plane, because we'll see the
Yes,
footage
but
of
I would
that
like
black
to know
plane.
Yes?
Yes, I would like to know this.
Which
Well, what does that have to do with 9/11? Because these were two buildings that were blown up, and it does. You speak about like all these secret things that's going on, but what has that got to do with 9/11 and two buildings being blown up?
Well, what do you think, sir?
You know, the only thing I can go by is what the news say. You know, like they said that two planes crashed into the World Trade Building, and the buildings like it came down.
That's so.
As far as all this the secret stuff you talk about, I don't like I don't really get it.
Okay, let me just
that's
briefly
good.
explain.
That's good.
Jet fuel is like kerosene, and it just, when it's like carbon-based fire, it just blows up. It doesn't have enough fire strength to melt steel and concrete, especially within 10 seconds. So, and if you look at the footage of the World Trade Center falling apart, it goes, there's things blowing out of it, and that thing was demolished. It was a controlled demolition. Within 10 seconds, it falls within its own footprint. Not to mention World Trade Center 7, a 47-story skyscraper that at 5:20 in the afternoon also fell within its own footprint in a controlled demolition.
I don't, sir.
Yes.
What you watch on television is not necessarily how it was. Is that hard for you to believe? Do you believe everything you watch on television?
Well, no, not necessarily, you know, but you know, like it seems more like you know, it's something more powerful that I can't really visualize because it's not being told by the media, you know.
Yeah,
the only
you've
thing
got.
I see is that the buildings coming down in the dust and you know and smoke and things like that. But as far as you're talking about like explosives in the building, things like that, it sounds kind of far fetched, you know.
Well, if you review the footage of that day, if you can go to the library and try to find videotapes of the falling of the towers, you can see very carefully, easily, there were puffs of smoke from the bottom. There's reports of the MTA in Cortlandt Street. They had to stop. They had smoke conditions when the plane was on the top. Smoke, and when the bombs go off, there's pillars flying out, trajectory of stuff. The trajectory of stuff means there was explosions. But anyway.
What about your own personal life, sir? Do you like to gather more information, or do you feel more comfortable not knowing too much?
Oh, well, that's why I called you, because I would like to know like more information and things like that, because like what you're saying is very interesting, you know. It makes me start thinking a little bit more than what I've seen on television.
Well, let's see what they stand to gain. They gain the Patriot Act, which gives them fascist and police control, and then they got a carte blanche budget for a military agenda. They work their bombs instead of a Nevada testing site. They've outgrown that, so they blow off in Afghanistan, they blow off in Iraq, and so their contracts for new bombs and weaponry are renovated, and it's a big, they got like a $500 billion a year, the Department of Defense, to keep the ball rolling and need a war, a pseudo-enemy. Communism failed, all of a sudden, the Islamic Jihad rears its ugly head. We've been living alongside Islam for 1,000 years. Now, all of a sudden, since 1989, the Islamic Jihad is everywhere. And of course, since the pseudo-war on terrorism began, more acts of terrorism have happened all over the planet.
Oh, I see. Well, you know, since you explained it to me like that, it seems to me like we live in a technologically advanced society that they're not really telling the people about what's really going on.
Yeah, you know what kind of upsets me, sir, is that when people don't believe the official version and the official scapegoat, which seems to be the Muslims, then they go to a deeper level, they think, of the disinformation, and then they start blaming the Mossad and the Jews, and that's upsetting too. You have another scapegoat. So that's why I always say, try to have no scapegoats, try to have no one to blame, but find out as best as you can scientifically what really happened, and then from there you'll know who did it, who had the power to do it. And it's really a handful of corporations, well, it could be up to 40 of them, that have the firepower, and then kind of reflect that we also are all participating in this technological society, and maybe if we can keep connected to each other, we can start the profound forgiveness and work our way out of this deep hole that is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, right. You hit the nail on that. We are connected to each other. That's what the great chief said. There is one web where everyone, my brothers and sisters in Iraq, I pray for them. And the people in the White House, they're my brothers and sisters too. I pray for them. And their awareness that the Lord and the light is connected to all being, and there's no enemy. The enemy is created, it's artificial. And this whole thing, I want to learn Arabic. I want to pray now for the people of Afghanistan Arabic as an American citizen. Alhamdulillah, tansaha wal afiya wibadan insha'Allah akbar. Salam, salam, peace. May there be peace in the world. We apologize for bombing you innocently. We don't want war, we want peace. And everything, all science fiction is facts, folks. You know, anything you saw in movies is already, the Pentagon's already got it. They're keeping a lid on it. In 1995, they had electric cars in California. We could have a pollution-free society. We don't need oil, but they want to just milk profits and create a situation. Okay, so we're streaming live at Rabbit Hole Central with Paula Gloria and Frank Craven.
RabbitHoleCentral.tv for any of you who have access to it.
It's a live call-in.
Sir, are you still on the line with us?
No, I guess not. I guess
it's not on.
We'll get another phone call.
Okay.
I tell you, why don't we do this roll-in? We're about halfway through the show now.
Yeah.
Rich, can we take off the blue screen and put on that videotape I gave you? This is going to be Lucchese on the Senate floor saying that we don't, he doesn't want to admit that waterboarding is torture, which is crazy. You gotta see this. And we'll keep our mic on and laugh at it as we watch.
I love that.
This incredible thing. Just in case you don't know Mr. Cheney and Bush and the Attorney General, waterboarding is torture, and we don't admit torture. We don't agree with it. We don't believe in it, and we shouldn't allow it. Karma, what goes around comes around. We don't want that to happen to our soldiers. We can't let them do that to. And Taxi to the Dark Side is nominated for an Oscar. This is the story of Dilbar, a taxi driver in Afghanistan, was killed and tortured in custody by the American soldiers, who didn't really get, put in jail for killing someone, an innocent kid who was innocent and caught and beaten to death. So it's called Taxi to the Dark Side.
I used to teach transcendental meditation at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and the colonel had been to Vietnam 3 times and felt that there had to be a better way.
Yeah.
That's why he was interested in world peace, and the world peace is to develop by understanding who we are.
Okay, let's watch this.
McConnell stated if I had water
and turn off the live call-in
I just can't imagine how painful, whether it's torture by anybody else's definition. For me, waterboarding would be torture. Now let